Encrypted Encounters. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody is having a wonderful evening. As for me, I am doing great here on Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. For those tuning on the restream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, I'm your host, HCS. On this beautiful Monday evening, sorry I ran a little bit late, but I had to watch that Spurs game against the Knicks, in which they were victorious tonight. It was a good game. Uh, in saying that, uh, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to share out this link to the groups that I shared to on Facebook real quick. Take out my glasses here. Here we are. We're all shared out here in Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. Hope everybody is having a wonderful evening. See how much light I want in here. Who do we got here tonight? Let's see, we got Andres Carizales. How you doing, Andres? That's good. You're doing good today, brother. So me, I was watching the San Antonio Spurs play. They won the game today, so on Wednesday they play again for game four. Hopefully they can take another win and take it back home to San Antonio, but we'll see. See what happens. Hoping for them to win, but it's been a good playoff series going on. So how's everybody doing this evening? As for me, I'm waiting for this jackpot to hit. Let me check where it's at. Probably won't hit till later on. How you doing, cousin Jesse? Hope you're doing great. As for me, I'm hanging in there, cousin. I'll drop a link for you. You want to jump on? Now we're just going to talk about the DDN, the DJINN or JINN, how it's called, of times that I experienced it and I witnessed it while I was out there. Well, two different deployments. Back in when I was up there in Operation Desert Storm, I witnessed it. Then I went back in '95 across the track. I was cross attached to the infantry, and we went to go guard the Kuwaiti borders, and I witnessed the DJINN out there again. So there's a lot of activity out there, and out there in the open desert, there is no trees so they could blend in or anything like that. So you're able to see their their manifestation, especially at nighttime. But during the day, is there is so much heat that it could be like a mirage. But at nighttime, you can see them. Well, and of course, during the day, depends how much energy they have that they'll manifest and show themselves. And of course, you have to have the spiritual eye. You have to have the spiritual capability to see spiritually. Well, tomorrow I'll do the open mic night. I was just trying to see if you wanted to jump on, but tomorrow we do have open mic night. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the times that I've encountered these things, and of course, all throughout my life, I've encountered things of unclean spirits. This I could say we can call them unclean spirits, dark energies, dark shadows, dark unclean spirits. I believe they all come from the same source, out of witchcraft, necromancy. Of course, they're demonic in nature. If you're not prepared spiritually, they can attach themselves to you, kind of like a succubus or incubus. They can do they can attach, any unclean spirit can try to attach itself to you if you have a spiritual opening. How you doing, Justin? I think tonight, if anybody's got any questions for me of any kind of sort, I'll answer your questions. Just, all you gotta do is ask a question, and if I have an answer for you, I'll give you an answer. Whatever you want to ask. I guess the locations that the thing about this, the JINN or JINN or DDN, I believe they're from the same source. Um, these dark shadow figures, and they can appear and disappear. A manifest, when they manifest, they can be in here momentarily to try to do what they're going to do, and then they'll disappear. I don't, cousin Gilbert. Yeah, when I was out there doing Operation Desert Storm, um, before we advanced across the desert to go fight the Medina Republican Guard, back in February 20, I think, was it 27th, 26th or 27th of 1990. Was it 90? 91, 1991, somewhere around there. Thinking it was 91. Yeah, 91. Um, those the desert. Before we even went out there to combat, when we had downloaded our tanks from the naval ships, and we had already downloaded naval ships and put them in a mortar pool. Of course, it's a made up mortar pool where you just line up the tanks, and we have to pull guard on them. The people that I encountered out there, the Kuwaitis, the ones that were around us, for example, when it was shout time, they were catering the American troops. I would notice things, like I said, I've always been able to see spiritually things in their culture or in that country, in which I could see that some of these people had negative attachments on them of they call it the JINN or the JINN. I could see that on them. The way I could tell that they had them is because of their eyes. You know, when the jinn would manifest, I could see yellow eyes looking at me through those individuals. And when I would see the yellow eyes looking at me, I would, of course, pray within myself. The Our Father, at that time I was young. I was only, I believe, nine, 19. I believe it was 19. Turned 20 out there, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I was able to witness it in the people, these unclean spirits, where they'll be looking at me. I catch people looking at me, but then I see the yellow eyes, which I knew that they had a negative attachment. So I would pray to protect myself. Uh, some people had it more than others, you know. So that's what I'm talking about here tonight is the things that I seen as a 19-year-old when I was out there during Operation Desert Storm, which I'm a veteran of. I was only 19 and I witnessed these things. And of course, sometimes as people had the things on their face, the only thing you could see was this. They had the face covered, so you couldn't see the whole face. I'm more sure if I would see the whole face, I'll be able to see the full manifestation of the jinn looking at me from their face, but they have their face covered. But I could see when the eyes that they had a negative attachment because they had yellowish eyes looking at me. And as I will go into prayer, then the yellow eyes will go away. It's because the unclean spirit will leave, right? This was here, why do people have to hide their faces? Why not be yourself? Why you have to hide your face? You know, most of the ones that hide their faces out there is the females. When you hear about like leprosy and different diseases and stuff like that, I've seen people like that over there. Abominations. I've seen people with all kinds of things in their bodies, all kinds of. In Spanish, we call them granos, but uh, all over their body. I seen a guy pull out his tongue, and he made the yell that they do, and his tongue was full of pus, like warts and all kinds of things. His face was all kinds of probably I would say how should I say it, diseases on him. I'm talking about STDs and all kinds of things on this guy. So I made sure I stayed cleared away from him. And sometimes I will see the unclean spirits for the people, that were, I guess you could say, homosexuals or gay. I could see the unclean spirits where they're holding hands and they're kissing each other. I could see where they had the DDN or unclean spirits attached to them, going from one person to the other. So I would do the sign of the cross and I would tie bind and rebuke that in Jesus Christ's name. Uh, I'm not going to agree to something that I don't believe in and is against the commandments. I'm going to maintain my faith, belief, and loyalty to the Heavenly Father. I'm just being straight up honest. Uh, I've been taught many things throughout my life. I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations. That's fine, Sister Brenda. Well, thank you for jumping on for a little bit here. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing like an hour live here. I'm not sure. I'm just going with the flow of things right now. So yeah, I will see that, and I will pray. I guess certain things, and I could see the unclean spirits, and over there, there's nothing blocking the wind. I mean, Sometimes the winds carry noise or sounds or echoes, and you could hear all kinds of things in the wind. You know, uh, but I was spiritual ready when I went over there because I trained myself before. You know, I would do a lot of training in Germany before I found out we were deploying. You know, so all the training that I did, I used it out there. You know, my senses were a keen, so I was ready. You know, there were certain locations as soon as we left the city that it was pitch dark. You know, there was a lot of locations where they were burning the oil wells, and it was pitch dark. That the only way you could see what was around you if you had night vision at nighttime. But it was pitch dark that you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. You really had to use night vision goggles just to see. So you had to rely a lot on your spiritual instincts, what you can sense around you spiritually. And that's just a way, you know, I was like that for a long time. The time that I was out there before we went to combat, I relied on my instincts, in which I would train that way. Because cousin Jesse knows what I'm talking about, but I used to train that way, training my senses. So those senses, you know, if somebody tried to come near me, I'll drop the person. You know, literally drop them, have them in a predicament without me having any night vision. You know, it's like we were a 4-man crew, and we only had one night vision device that we can use amongst the 4-man crew. Of course, the gunner had the night vision. The TC had a night vision if we were inside the tank. The driver had a night vision device he could use also if we wanted to see, you know, for the. But besides that, um, yeah, we had to go somewhere, walk around like during guard. We had one pair of night vision goggles that we had to use to pull that guard. You can strap it to your head and see. You know, of course, you're gonna see things that are in the flesh. I've heard of stories where people say they've seen something or things that the with the night vision goggles. Me, I could only see, I would see the things of the people that have body heat with the night vision goggles. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary with the night vision goggles. As a matter of fact, I could see or sense better without the night vision goggles, using my spiritual senses. No, but there is things out there. You know, that's why I'm talking about it here tonight. To me, they're the same. You know, the DDN, disembodied demonic Nephilim. You got the Jinn slash Jinn, which means the same thing. I believe they're of the same. Uh, I seen how the Jinn and the Jinn operates out there. I guess a lot of the people that live out there, they live in fear because of the rules and regulations that their government has. You know, so they live in fear. So if they're living in fear, it means that there's some spiritual openings. But the Jinn is out there in the desert. It shows itself. It manifests through energy, you know, and it infiltrates, you know, just like anywhere else. It does the same thing like that the DDN do here. You know, I just call them DDN, disembodied demonic Nephilim. Oh yeah, the I would do a lot of guard. I wasn't just worried about the things that are out there. Like I wasn't worried about. I knew I was going to war. I didn't know. that we were going to be the front line because they didn't tell us till the very last moment. Uh, at the same time, I was more worried about the enemies that I had made because I had enemies already that didn't like me because I had defeated them in mutual combat or bandingo fights. So I already had a target on my back because people were saying if they see me that they were going to get me, they were going to do something to me while I was out there. In which, imagine that I had to not just worry about the war that I was going to be involved in. I didn't just have to worry about the DJINN and DDN that were out there, or the locals that had negative attachments on them. I also had to worry about the people that had a hit out for me because it said that if they had an opportunity, they were going to take me out. So I had all the odds stacked against me. But when you have your faith and believe in Jesus Christ, there can be no odds that can come up against you because Jesus Christ is your protector, your avenger, and you'll take care of your enemies accordingly. So that's what I knew. I maintained my faith and believe in the Heavenly Father. I knew that if something happened, that He would give me the strength and the ability to do what I had to do to overcome an obstacle, whether it was in the flesh or whether it was in the spirit, that the Heavenly Father will guide me to overcome that, in which I did. Overcame things of the flesh that came at me in a negative way, and overcame things of the spirit that was coming at me in a negative way. But I did maintain my Heavenly Love Foundation. I did pray before, during, and after combat. You know, I prayed to the Heavenly Father to protect me and the wisdom of my brother in arms to protect us in combat, and in which he did. You know, I was in a situation where things could have happened because I opened up my driver's hatch because a guy had jumped on my tank with AK-47, and I had to do what I had to do. Then I closed my hatch back up. There was bullets flying around and everything, but not one single bullet grazed me or touched me. Because when the Heavenly Father is in control, He's got everything in control. Everything under control. To make things happen a way that is, how should I say, unbelievable. I'm not going to say unbelievable. I'm going to say He make things happen miraculously. You know, for people that lack in faith, they just don't know what they're missing out on. You know, they've been brainwashed by people that do not believe in Jesus Christ or the Heavenly Father. So they're brainwashed. I can't do nothing with those individuals. The lack of faith. You know, I can't do nothing for them. You know, it's a personal choice how somebody's going to be. Good night, Cousin Jesse. So yeah, in the battle of Medina Ridge, it's kind of like they were waiting for us as we were going up the ridge. They were waiting for us in dug-in positions and stuff, which we could our tanks could shoot very far distance. We could shoot up to 3,000 meters. I think one of our kills, tank kills, confirmed tank kills, was over 3,000 meters. It was like 3,300, somewhere around there. It was up there. It was up in numbers, and we hit that target with a saber round and destroyed it. You know, it blew up. It was in a dug-in position where the half of the tank is in the ground, and the only thing is sticking out is the turret. No, we had a lot of confirmed kills out there, but it's the first time that I witnessed a JINN or DJINN. It wasn't from a lantern, you know, like Aladdin. And I'm gonna tell you when the first time I ran into it, it was in the middle of the Battle of Medina Ridge. It was the biggest tank battle out there. That's I was in the front lines, and that's what I fought was a battle of Medina Ridge. You can look it up, Google it, which is the biggest tank battle that was out there. That's what I was involved in, and I was in the front lines. Catching up to the comments here. So I remember the when I seen it floating in the air because there was a lot of burning tanks that we had destroyed, tanks that we had destroyed, and we had moved up close to them, so you could see all the burning tanks, things exploding. We didn't want to get too close, all the rounds exploding and just smoke everywhere. And there was a certain T-72. Good night, primo. There was a T-72 tank that I could see it was burning and the smoke was going up from where their ammo, where they collected their ammo. All the ammo was burning. You could see just black smoke going up. But to the left of the tank, because I was a driver, I'm low to the ground, so I could see everything. The smoke was above me, but I could see everything in front of me. I seen something up in the air, maybe like 10 feet, 15, I'll say like 15 to 20 feet off the ground, right by the tank. It looked like smoke. And I was like, how come all the smoke is rising, but that smoke is still in place? It's not moving. It's not going up like all the other smoke. And I'm seeing it. And to the right, I could see there were some people or some soldiers from the Medina Republican Guard that were trying to give up. They had white flags, which means surrender. So I could see them. They all had white flags. They had no weapons, but they had the white flag, which means surrender, and which we're supposed to take them in as prisoners, so POWs, right? Um, then I seen the JINN. That's what I'm talking about. The JINN. I seen it move, and it flew across the battlefield, like it was standing like this, and they glided in the air across the battlefield. And there was a guy with a white handkerchief, surrendering. The JINN went into that guy. When it went into that guy, the guy's demeanor changed. He stood up because most of them were down on their knees, giving up. He stood up, dropped the white flag, picked up a AK-47 off the ground, and pointed. Once he pointed the weapon, he got taken out. Right? He got taken out by the tanks, by the gunners. Uh, then it jumped out of him when that vessel or body dropped. The JINN flew out of it and went into the next person. They had a white flag surrendering, and that person stood up, dropped the white flag, picked up the weapon, and it went jumping from person to person that was kneeling down, surrendering. And all those people, they had the white flags, and the JINN was jumping from person to person. All those people died because, they were, I guess, picking up the weapon, shooting a couple of rounds at the tank, so they got taken out. It never went back beside the tank, but it flew across the battlefield, I guess, the JINN, to see who we can use. And I think the opening that these people had after seeing a lot of the tanks being destroyed was fear. Fear was the opening that they had, that the JINN used to attack them. And of course, I've told you before, some of this uh, uh, the Medina Republic Guard had killed women and children. So the DDN or the JINN, or you want to call it JINN, DDN, whatever. The opening was there for them to have jurisdiction to be there, and it was because of what they had done. And you could literally say, when I mean it jumped in them, I mean it. What I'm trying to say, it possessed them, took over the vessel. And I was in the 19. Let me see. No, I had barely turned 20 before the battle. I had turned 20 because my birthday was out there at the month of that battle, the Medina Ridge. My birthday was February 2nd, so I turned 20 while I was out there, and that's what I witnessed. So when I witnessed this unclean spirit, dark unclean spirit, doing that to those people, I started going into prayer, and I prayed for the Heavenly Father to protect my crew and the other tanks that were beside me, that this spiritual threat couldn't affect us, right? For him to continue to protect us. So I prayed against it. And till this day, I've never forgotten what I witnessed out there. But there was the time that I seen the JINN or the JINN. The only way you can attack somebody, brother and sisters, it means is if you have some kind of spiritual opening. That's the only way you can attack. It'll try, and there are numerous out there. There's many of them. It's not the JINN just one. There are many, just like the DDN and the Legion. There are many, and they're out there. When I went back in '95, I witnessed them again. No, I went back in '95 to guard the borders, and I witnessed the JINN out there again. They're attracted to energy, like when we burn trash during the day, or they had that, I guess, the detail where you burn the crap, but at nighttime we had a pit where we burn trash. When the hot ashes that were left from the pit when the trash were burned, you could see the JINN. We'll call it the JINN, right? That's what people know it as. The JINN standing around the pit. You could see the dark silhouettes standing around the pit. There'll be like 12, 14, and I'll be able to see their silhouettes with my naked eye. And when nighttime, the night vision, I could see the heat coming out of the pit, but I could see the dark silhouettes because they have no heat signature, because they're spirits, or unclean spirits. So they're not going to produce a heat signature. Maybe one day I'll see if I can bring one of my soldiers that was there with me. Brother Keith, he had an encounter out there with a DJINN. Something happened to him. I think there's been a lot of people that have had encounters with his dark spirits out there. Let me catch up to the comments, brothers and sisters, real quick. I think I've showed you all the picture. Let me see if I can find the picture to show you how the JINN looks like. I think I got it right here. I'm going to show it to you. It looks no different than the DDN, because I believe it's the same. Unclean spirits. Here you go. That's the way that the JINN looks like. When it's in spirit form, its true manifestation is that. You're welcome, Sister Nervous Angel. You know, when you're placed in a situation, you got to do what you have to do to survive. You know, and I've seen a lot of this things here. The Jinn or the DDN, they're the same. You know, demonic in nature. They come from the void. Uh, they have the. I had a female tell me one time that the Jinn has tattoos and all kinds of things. I was like, no, yeah, you're looking too much at Aladdin and movies. That's not what the Jinn looks like. This is a true manifestation of how the Jinn or the DDN looks like, and not just that. Some of the cryptids that people claim that they see at nighttime. No, if this is daytime and you could see this, imagine how this will look at nighttime. You will be able to see a silhouette or something that might be some growling or whatever the case, because you know for the fear factor, but it's all come from the same source. So I got a picture there for y'all so you can check it out. Okay. Then I got some pictures here of when I was out there. Let me see if I can find the pictures of the battle. The battle of Medina Ridge. Let me look, see if I can find the picture so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. If I got any of the pictures. My old phone is the one that had all the pictures, but the phone gave out on me. It don't work. But is another version of it. You know, if it was darker, then the Jinn will look something like this. It's the same picture. It's the same picture, but a little bit darker. So imagine the Jinn being a unclean spirit or a dark spirit. You're able to see it there with a little bit different, right? You're able to see its form, its silhouette. You can see it's some kind of smoke or spirit. I would say this is a way kind of how they looked out there, you know, trying to infiltrate while there was burning tanks. But that's how that appeared out there during while I was in combat. And I'm going to see if I can find a picture of the smoke. Let me see if I can find that picture that was, if I can find it. I'm just giving you an example. This how it will look. I'm trying to find one of the pictures that I have from combat. I'm looking for it right now. Hopefully, I can find it. Their sister Brenda. I'm searching for the photo, folks. See if I can find it. Looking through. I'm trying to go as fast as I can here. It's gonna be hard for me to even try to find this photo if it's here. Said my old phone had all the pictures from when I was out there during combat. Yeah, that's one of those photos that it's gonna be hard for me to find. I'll have to look into through my messenger. I think I got it there. But I do got another one where I'm just giving an example how a gin looks, which would be something like this. Of course, the DDN is the same thing. They're able to manifest. But I got other pictures here how they can look to have some kind of form, but they look a little bit different. But I think those are like unclean spirits or dark shadow spirits, which would be kind of like this one here. This right here. This one that's standing here that has no form. Here we go. This is dark shadow spirits right here, and this photo is here from Elms Grove. There's one standing here. It looks like it's a woman, and there's another one right here. There could possibly be more than one. I believe there's like one right here, possibly another one over here. But this is how that would look. The sun was already setting when I captured this. I heard women whispering or talking, and I took a picture of where I heard them talking. And this is what I captured. Of course, that is from Elms Grove, the States. Let me see if I can find. I think I have a video. Uh, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look through the archives through my messenger, see if I can find the photo. Well, let me look at my friend. Yeah, they can use the trees. I'll drop a link, see if anybody wants to jump on. I'm trying to do like an hour live. I'm already at 46 minutes. Yeah, they can use the trees, enter anything that's living, whether it's a tree, an animal, a person. But you can see it here, where it's manifested in the park. Imagine seeing that silhouette. The sun is still barely setting, right? So imagine if it was dark, then you will be able to see a form like it's somebody there, standing there, but it's really a shadow spirit, a dark shadow spirit, which you're going to be able to see the form like if someone, but it's not somebody. I don't know how many people I told, go check out Elms Grove at nighttime. Just park the car. It's hard to park the car in Elms Grove because they have, how should I say it, no soliciting. So if you were to go there, you have to be, make sure that nobody, because I think they used to have security. I don't know if they got security now, but you have to be careful they don't, come try to tell you, you can't be here or whatever. But if you would stay long in the park, you'll be able to see these dark shadow figures come out of the wood line. 15, 20 strong at nighttime. And they'll be moving through the park, gliding like 4 or 5 feet up in the air. There's dark shadow figures. It looks like they have like hoodies and stuff like that, like robes like the monks used to wear or whatever. Yeah, you'll be able to see them. Some are brownish, and then you got some that are dark, that are black, but they're very tall. I would say around 9 foot tall, 9 to 10 foot tall, dark shadow spirits that move around Elms Grove. Yeah, the white patch is the ground. It's like gravel, and they're literally there. So let me take that photo off right now. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, it's hard for me to find the photo. Let me see what else I can find for you here, brothers and sisters. Just trying to do like an hour show. We got about 10 minutes. I know everybody's a little bit tired right now. It's 12:44. Like I said, I was watching the Spurs game. See, I can find something else for you all over here. I'm gonna look through the archives, through the little photo gallery I got here. I can use this picture here as an example of this beings. You know, if if there was no trees, then you'll be able to see their dark spirits, unclean spirits. So I'm going to use this photo here to show you how they can blend in. That's okay, Sister Brenda. Sister Cynthia. My bad. Let me share this with you. The difference between when something's out in the open, like I showed you, compared to when there's woods, and they can use the woods to either camouflage themselves or manifest into the trees, in and out of trees. And here's an example of that. We can use the one that's up here as an example. What I call let me see. He's up here. There's another one here. Like I said, they can use Mother Nature itself to blend in. Oops, to camouflage themselves, and it booted me out. Oh, that's crazy. I was trying to share it with y'all, and it just booted me out. But let me get back to the story. Because I don't, like I said, I don't want to keep you all too long tonight. But tomorrow we'll be having open mic night. When I went back in '95, was, like I said, cross attached to, it was 1-8 Cav, or what was it, 1-5 Cav? I think it was. I'm thinking. Let me see. I'm thinking it was 1-5 Cav. One of those, 1-5 Cav, 1-8 Cav, which was cross attached to infantry. Our tanks were assigned to the infantry. So we went with them out there in '95, and I think I have a picture of that somewhere here in the archives. But I had to find all that. We went back out there to guard the Kuwaiti borders. We were there it was right there along the borders of Iraq. And when I went back in '95, it was me and my NCO. I was an NCO, but he was higher rank. He was the tank commander. I was the gunner. It was a 4-man crew, and we went out there, and we had some strange things happen, dealing with the DDN, or should I say the JINN. My driver had an encounter with it where I would tell him the Alpha, or should I say the company tent, was in the center of our Alpha. So it was a good walk, because we covered a lot of like a grid, a perimeter, and we guarded the outside with our tanks, right? That's what we covered, was the outside of the berm. It was a giant berm, and he would go to the company tent. They had like a TV out there. They would play cards and stuff like that, and I would tell him, hey man, don't be going out there too late. There's things out here, because I was already fighting with the JINN, because they will come mess with me, and I'll tell you all that about what would happen. So I'll tell him, try to come early, man. Don't stay out there too late. There's things out there, and he's like, oh, there's nothing out here, Sarge. There's nothing out here, Sarge. I said, all right. Then one evening, late at night, like 1 a.m, I hear that I'm laying down on my cot, and I hear gear, like somebody's running. He's a soldier. It's like 1 a.m. He's running. He's running from something, and he literally jumps on the back deck, like, real fast, and jumps in his sleeping bag like something that was chasing him, like he was scared. So I seen him, and he's not saying nothing. And I said, okay, I won't talk to him right now. So I start praying because it seemed to me like he was running away from something. Following day, when the sun rose, I'm looking at him. Yeah, but a 9 millimeter, 9 mil, or any kind of weapon is not going to do nothing against the JINN or the DDN because they're spirits. Even if you carried the weapon, you're not going to do nothing to it. Utilizing it, whether it's a weapon, a sword, or a knife, you're not going to be able to do nothing against them because they're unclean spirits. The only way to fight something like that is, of course, through Jesus Christ, through prayer. Tie, bind, and rebuke him in the name of Jesus Christ. Following day, I tell him, he woke up, and it's like, hey, man, what happened last night? What do you mean, Sergeant? Don't be bullshitting me. I know something happened to you because you're running like a bat out of hell. What happened last night? He said that he had come out of the tent. He went to go use the restroom or the latrine, where's the porta. It wasn't a porta potty. It's like a homemade porta potty that we use, made out of wood or whatever. He said he'd come out of the porta potty, and he was walking back to the tank. As he was walking down by the tank, towards the tank, he said that he heard somebody talking to him, but he couldn't understand what they were saying because they were talking a different language. And when he looked to his left, he seen it. He said he was real tall, looking down at him, saying something to him in a different language. He said it wasn't a person, that it was just something like a dark being looking at him, which I believe it was a DJINN. And he said he freaked out. I guess he got scared and he took off running. He said he was, I guess, chasing him. You cannot run a DDN or an unclean spirit because they move pretty fast. So after that, he kind of stop going to that to play going over there. He stopped going over there. If he went, he would go with my loader. He wouldn't go by himself because of that activity that was happening. And the reason that I told him to be careful is because of things that were happening to me. Because I could see things of the spirit that would come messing with me when I was sleeping on my cot at nighttime, trying to get some rest, where they'll come and feel like somebody is putting their elbow in my throat or choking me. When I get out of my sleeping bag and look real fast, there'll be nobody there. They'll be tugging on my sleeping bag. There'll be nobody there. I hear footsteps or somebody running around. They could mimic sound. Sometimes I would hear the sound like what seemed to be like a remote control, those little remote control buggies or speed cars. That's how it sounded like. They will make that kind of noise like that, at nighttime. Or I could hear like somebody running towards me, and I could feel their energy as I was going to tie bind and rebuke them. Their energy will go back. They'll run backwards. But I look, there'll be nobody there. And sometimes I look with my night vision, there'll be nobody there. But so I was fighting this JINN, a night, not just JINN, but I believe on spirits of soldiers or enemy that had died there before, from a long time before. There was one time I was putting guard in the front gate. I sent one of the soldiers. This is in '95 to use the restroom. He went to use the restroom, and I stayed guarded in the front gate. I was NCO, and as I'm looking, at nighttime it gets cold, so you got to have cold weather gear. So I'm looking, and he's not coming from the restroom. And when I look to my right, I'm like standing, and sitting beside me is the JINN or DDN, the JINN or unclean spirit, whatever you want to call it, and he's looking at me. and I look at it, and as I'm fixing to go into prayer, because at that time really wasn't doing too much type on rebuke in the name of Jesus Christ. I would go into prayer, say the Our Father, deliverance prayer. As I was going to say that, it just disappeared. Then I seen that same day, as I was waiting, I heard somebody running. I thought it was him coming running from the restroom. I'm looking at it with my night vision. I'm not seeing nothing. And then from my right, I could see like three people running, and they go through the Constantine wire, but it's just spirits of like what seemed to be three soldiers. They run through the barbed wire because they're spirit. And they left it at that. The guy never came from the restroom. I got in trouble because he never showed up. So they told me I had to do PT the following day, even though I didn't get no rest because I was up from like 1 in the morning all the way to 6 in the morning. And I wasn't going to leave my post because then there would be an Article 15. So I guarded the post, right? So we started doing PT. We started running, and there was a guy running behind me, and his leg went into a hole in the ground, which he broke his leg. And they're doing PT. I was like, I don't think it's a good idea to be doing PT out here because I think there's mines and stuff like that haven't blown up, and you want to come do PT out here, talking about they're hardcore. And I said, no, you're being stupid because if you step on something, that's it, you're gone. A bomb or something that hasn't exploded, you're gone. So that guy broke his leg, and they took us back to the Alpha Alpha. But when they were pulling the guy out of the hole, when he broke his leg, they found three skeletons inside that hole. And I believe it was the spirits of the three that I seen running the night before through the tent. And it was where the main gate was, where I was guarding. There were probably like, I would say, like 70 to, I would say like 70 feet away from the main gate where I was guarding the night before. So when our relief came, man, I was ready. I was ready to go back to the States. I said, not ever again. I want to come back to this area. It's hot and heavy, it could be a lot of things, the underneath the sand, there could have been limestone or other minerals, and of course the wind, when a sandstorm comes, it blows all kinds of things, and the wind makes strange noises at nighttime. Sometimes it sounds like it's people that is in pain, like they're moaning, or things in that nature. The things are happening to them, or something, like if they're spirits, So it's kind of like a lot of activity at nighttime out there in the desert. Then you have to worry about the wildlife is out there also. Nighttime, there's cobras, scorpions. So just I don't know how those people that live in the sand, how they do it to be able to stay out there. Because they're used to it. Those sandstorms are vicious, brother and sisters. We're at the 1 hour marker. Does anybody have any questions for me that I can answer for you? If anybody got any questions, you're more than welcome to ask anything. I've seen them, brother Andres. Just what I encountered in Germany, what I encountered out there in Saudi Arabia, or Kuwait, Iraqi border. Yeah, I've seen things out there. I've trained in all terrains, man. In all terrains, I've trained in the woods, in the mud, in the ice, flooding where it's flooding, where there's water that's almost as tall as me, in mudslides, in fires, of course, in the heat. I trained in all terrains, day and night. That was our job as a tanker. We're supposed to be able to fight in any kind of situation. Doesn't matter if there's a tornado. Doesn't matter if there's an earthquake. Doesn't matter if there's a fire. Where we can fight in those terrains. We're supposed to fight. Of course, some people are not going to understand what they're dealing with. If military doesn't train you they don't train you that way. They just train you to do your job, to work as a machine together to accomplish a mission. That's why we do a lot of training. We train to be first in nature. Of course, I got the. Let me share my shirt here with you. If I can find I don't know where I left it. Here it is. This shirt I got on here tonight. Go. There's a tank. This is from my brother Corey Stevenson, the owner of Recon One. retired first sergeant. He makes shirts. I purchased them from him. I think some of you might recognize this one. I haven't worn this one in a long time because me, I'm the type of person that I'm different right now. But before, if somebody want to challenge me to something, I was always game. Whatever the situation was. I still train and everything, but I try to attend my Heavenly Love Foundation more now than before. Let's see if I can get a close up of it. There it is. Says goat on there. What people don't understand that the tank is really my home as a tanker. We live on there. We do everything off of it. That was my job. The one thing you don't do is give too much trust to the tank to think that you know it, because that's when accidents happen. When you get too comfortable doing your job, that's when things happen. Accidents happen. So you have to be alert at all time and take the proper safety measures. You have to go by the book, take every safety precaution that you're taught in order for nothing to happen to you, because there's accidents that can happen with the tank. The tank is a killing machine, right? Weighs 65 tons. It's a killing machine. I know it probably weighs more now with all the new equipment that they put in it, but even then, it was a killing machine. If the weapons don't get you, the 65 tons will get you. Imagine you trying to come out at a foxhole and 65 tons comes rolling over you. that's it, man. You're gone. That's a lot of weight. Anyways, is there any questions for me that anybody would like to ask? As a crewman, we always stuck together. You know, we all had each other's backs as a crew. And of course, you got a platoon, then you have the company. There's 4 platoons to a company, so we have to depend on each other. You know, we're supposed to have each other's backs 24/7. We have to look out for one another when we're out there in certain situations. Basically, what I'm saying, imagine it's 65 tons. It's a killing machine. You got the 50 cal. You got 240s, two 240s, a 50 cal machine gun. You got everybody's got their 9 mils, and then you got the M16 A2 that we had at the time, or A1. You have all these things. And of course ammo that comes with everything. You get the main gun rounds for the tank that you can use to fight the enemy. But how is that going to affect something like the JINN or the DJINN or the DDN? It wouldn't do nothing against. It wouldn't be able to do nothing against them because they're a spirit. Yeah. Certain people would act strange. Some people would act strange, like they had a negative attachment. I had to pray for a couple of people that there was an act in themselves, and I already know what was wrong. You know, the DJINN. Uh, I had to stand up for young private because they were coming after him, messing with him all the time. I mean, like talking bad about him, messing with him 24/7. And then I finally stood up for him. You know, I said, "Look, why do you mess with this guy? Because I mean, why are y'all messing with him? You know, if you don't want him on your don't like him, you don't want him on your tank or on your crew, send him my way. But stop treating him the way you're treating him. That's bullshit." You know, I stood up for him. You know, I said, if somebody don't like it, we can handle things the old-fashioned way out here. We're here in the desert. So if you don't like what I'm saying, we can handle it a certain way. I know how you do things in this company, but you shouldn't be treating this guy the way you're treating him. He's out here doing the same thing we're doing. He's gonna have your back. You should have his back too, instead of talking shit to him. And you know, that young guy, he was all happy. He said that I was the first person that ever stood up for him in that company. And I didn't belong in the company. I was from a different unit. But you know, that's the kind of a person I was. You know, if I see something wrong, I'll be straight up. You know, I ain't gonna sugarcoat nothing. So then after that, you had guys walking around with bayonets and looking at me like they wanted to do something. You know, higher ranking guys, because I stood up for that guy. And I said, if anybody gonna mess with him, come mess with me first. Come and try me. And nobody want to do nothing. But yeah, you have to be careful even doing that, because the JINN was out there, was trying to find a spiritual opening. I try to look up for people if I can, because I know what the JINN ones, or like the DDN or unclean spirits, demonic spirits, the one division. That the reason the one division is because that's how they conquer and attack. We see it all the time, right? We see it. What happens with podcasts, right? Some are in cahoots with one another. They say, "Hey, let's go target this individual." There's no difference in what the DJINN or the DDN do. You know, Why attack me or try to say that my words or the things that I do here in spiritual crypt and encounter have no value when I'm talking from my heart. I'm talking truthful about my experiences. I'm not uh, trying to add any, how should I say, false narratives or agendas, false narratives or false agendas to make something popular that I know that it's not real, kind of like the caca squatch. It might be a manifestation that the jinn, the DDN take, but it's not something that's in the flesh. And I'll stick to that, and I'm going to continue to stick to that. I'm not going to differ from my opinion. He said, I've been out there in the terrains. I know what's out there. Not once with all the night vision capabilities that the tank has did I once ever run into a Kakasquatch or a dogman with my night visions of the tank that will have a heat signature. I've seen deer, I've seen wildcats, bobcats, rats, their body heat, people smoking cigarettes, the heat off the cigarettes. I've seen all kinds of things with heat, but never once ever run into a Kakasquatch. I've seen things that have no heat signature that or a spirit that you're able to see their silhouettes, how tall they are moving. So, I mean, I got a question for y'all. Yeah, this is a question for y'all. I got for y'all. Would a reptilian have a heat signature? I'm going to Google it. Would a reptile or reptilian have a heat signature? See what y'all say about that. Here you go, bro, folks. It says reptiles ectothermic, cold-blooded, meaning they lack internal heat generation and their body temperature fluctuates with their surroundings. Consequently, they do not have a prominent glowing heat signature like warm-blooded animals and often blend them thermally with the environment. So what if, you know, that's where the theory is. What I seen was this dark shadow figures, that I call the DDN. Is not going to have a signature. That's why I said, well, it's got to be a spirit because it was a reptilian creature. When they were go doing the investigation out there, the rangers, they would have been able to find a reptilian out there, right? If you had no, you still be able to see their bodies if they were out there, but they would just disappear, which would make it to me that it was more of demonic in nature. The craziest thing that I've ever seen with a thermal camera. Uh, okay. Me and my driver, we were stuck with the tank in Clabber Creek in Fort Hood, Texas. It was nighttime. They had been working on the tank. We were having some issues with the batteries. They fixed them. The whole platoon had already, The whole company had already left to the mortar pool. It was Friday night, and I looked at him and said, "Look, man, I don't want to be stuck out here for the weekend. What we're gonna do, we're gonna start this sucker up, and we're gonna drive it back to the mortar pool. We're gonna park it and go home." It's okay, Sarge. You get all excited. Started it up. It was nighttime. He put on his thermals for the driver had his thermal put in there, and so he can see through a thermal. And I had started up the thermals in the tank, got it hot so I could see what we're doing. And we're in blackout mode, which means you don't turn on your lights when you're out there. It's blackout mode. So you're driving dark with just pure night vision. So as we're driving down the tank trail, we're just driving, and we still got a ways. We're like almost near the cattle guard. We're passing, I think it was Pilot Knob range or no, it was Pilot Knob, I think. One of those ranges, we're passing it. And I was looking through the sights, and he was driving, and next thing you know, from the left side of the tank trail, you see something come in through the night vision in front of the tank, and it's glitch. It's kind of like going in and out. It's got like how should I say it? Like a cloak of some sort. It's pixelated, but you could see the form of something very tall that passed in front of the tank. Has got a short, and you can see a lot of different pixelations, like it's going crazy. The pixelations, you can see it through the night vision. And it steps in front of the tank, and it's pretty tall. And the driver hits the tank, hits the brakes. And I see it pass in front of the tank. I got up out of the TC sash. I grabbed the pick handle because we have no line ammo. Grabbed the pick handle, and I jumped on the front slope. And he's like, "Did you see that, Sarge? Did you see that, Sarge?" I said, "Yeah, I seen it." And I'm looking down on the tank trail, but I can see no footsteps or nothing, because those tank trails are so full of dust that's real heavy, like real deep, soft dirt, that if you step on it, it'll cave in. So I didn't see no footprints. I had the pick handle, and I'm looking. I'm not seeing nothing visually of what we're seeing with the night vision. And I said, "Drop your night vision and turn on the headlights." We're driving back to the rest of the way with the headlights, but we're gonna drive as fast as we can to make it there. So I got up and we took off. We got to the mortar pool. He was kind of freaked out, and I said, "Look, what happened here? We're not going to tell nobody about it. We'll keep it, between me and you." But that's like the craziest thing that I've seen, because he's seen it through his night vision, and I've seen it through the thermals from the tank. It was something that had a short, and the pixelations were going crazy. Like it was showing me whatever. It had different pixelations going crazy. Like it was trying to blend into the environment with different environment pixelations, but couldn't. But I could see the short, like a spark, on that equipment. That's the craziest thing that I've ever witnessed with the thermals on the tank. Was something that was very tall that passed in front of our tank. Now, could it have been the military doing some training? If it was a military, then where was the rest of the other people that were with that guy? That would mean there would be others with him, but there wasn't. Whatever that was had to be easily like over 12 to 13 foot tall. What was it? Is the question. Was it military? Was it reptilian? Because I could see the short, like where the I could see the break on the whatever. How should I say? Device that was the cloak. I'll call it a cloak. I could see as they kept on changing the pixelations. I could see the short on the equipment where they couldn't hold on to just one. There was like a short up in the on the top, short circuit. But what was it? It was too tall to be a person. It was because it was taller than the tank. So what was it that was going in and out? They had a short in their equipment, or should I say, in their camouflage, in their thermal camouflage. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen with the night vision. Was that moment there? Maybe one day I can get the driver to jump on here and so he can see share his version. He's the same person that was with me out there. Uh, it was the one that was in the tent. The thing, the DDN or the JINN followed him. He was there that time too when that happened. And I wasn't about to run into high grass with thorns and stuff like that to try to find out what was that his equipment was giving out because it was very tall. It was taller than the tank. What was it? Clearly, the military might have advanced equipment, but I don't think the military has somebody that's 12 to 13 foot tall. Not unless they're using some kind of nanotechnology where they're in I don't know. All I know it was huge. If you wouldn't have stepped on the brakes, we would have hit it. We would have hit it with a tank. And the other question that I have is, what was it? Maybe it was following us. Maybe it did that for us to stop to see what we're going to do. I don't know. But I never, it's like I was, said I wasn't thinking about trying to find out what that was. I was just trying to, we went to safety, we went back to the motor pool, parked the tank, and we just kept that amongst ourselves. When you bring something up to the chain of command, they have to report it. So if there's men in black involved or circuit organization, anything can happen. They can call you, take you somewhere. So that's why I told them we're just going to keep it between me and you. I'll say manifestations, probably manifestations, but I've never seen one with the thermals. With the thermals, I've seen with naked eye manifestation, but not with the thermals. Oh, there's civilians that work on base. There's most of them are prior military, but they work like at the ranges, at the tower, at the ranges, at the towers. They work as range control. There's jobs where civilians do go on base and stuff like that. Any more questions for me, brothers and sisters? Ask away. I've seen some crazy stuff without the thermos. Yeah, I've seen some crazy stuff. Other things that I didn't have to use no thermals. Just put it that way. You know, want to hear a story of that? I got a couple of them that happened to me on base. If y'all want to hear a story of what happened to me on base, living in the billets. Before I moved out and got my house, I used to live in the billets. So I had some strange things happen to me in the billets. You know, strange activity when we're talking about paranormal, demonic activity, certain things that I witnessed when I was stationed on Fort Hood. If you want to hear that one, I can share it with you. My unit had been deployed to Bosnia, and I was in charge of the rear. I was rear D commander. So my job was to check every company of the battalion to make sure that the seals were secured, and I would check anything that had a seal. It was my job to make sure the numbers, that nothing was tampered with, and that's what I would do. That's what my job was. One evening, no, before I did that, this is well, I'm going back. Before I did that, I was working for S3, and I was living in some billets where there's a lot of strange activity on the first floor. Where I lived, the billets were 3 stories high, and they had like a little vestibule in the middle where there was gravel. But at nighttime, by my window, I would hear like a shovel, like somebody digging the gravel. You know, I could hear the shoveling at nighttime right by my window, and through the curtain, I could see a silhouette of somebody right there by my window, like they have a shovel. So when I will move the curtain, there'll be nobody there. So that activity was like a happen every night. You know, I would always get woken up by the spirit shoveling the gravel right there every night. So I got tired of it, and I told them, "Hey, can you move me somewhere else?" So they got me, you know, as a NCO, got me a room and the other billets on I think it was the 3rd floor. Before, you know, they moved me there, so I would do staff duties also. So one day I was doing staff duty. I was walking since they were deployed, I would go check out where all the cars were to make sure nobody's messed with the cars. They had them in a certain area, you know, I would make sure nobody has broken into the car lot where soldiers put their vehicles. I would check that, and then I'll walk back. And one night I was walking by the staff duty or by the battalion, and I seen something huge fly right over me. Big giant bat. And I'm looking at it. I mean, this is a big bat, and it flew right over me. And I was like, "What the hell is that?" I said, "Well, it's got to be a fruit bat, but it looks too big to be a fruit bat." It was probably like maybe, I'll say like 15 feet up above me, but it looked huge, and it went towards the billets. So I said, maybe it's just a fruit bat, you know. So I left it alone. I didn't think nothing of it. It looked freaked out from the face. And I was like, man, that was a giant fruit bat, you know. So I finished pulling my duty The weekend came, and I'm in my room on the third floor as I'm trying to go to sleep. I hear it's like around 2, 3 in the morning. I hear footsteps, like somebody running up the stairs. I hear the best of you open the door and go, "Erp," and they slam it. Then they come to my door and they're banging on it. I'm like, what the? Who the hell? Who the hell is banging on my door? I get up and open it. There's nobody there. What? And I go open the best of your door, look downstairs. I don't see nobody. I said, okay, it's just coincidental. Following night, the same thing happened. Here, third floor, the door open, and then I hear this time I hear like children laughing. I'm like, what the hell, kids? And I go walking all the way downstairs. I go walking around the billets, and I don't see nobody, no kids. I'm like, man, who's this? Who's this kids out here late at night? Messing with my door. So then one night, I'm polishing my boots. Back then you had to polish your boots. Let me do something real quick. Well, I'm polishing my boots, and as I'm polishing my boots, I hear the little kids laughing from across the quad. There's like the best of you is like from one of the rooms right across me, and they're laughing from that room. I'm like, oh, I know where you're at now, little. I said, I'm gonna, in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna get this little fuckers. I'm gonna get them in trouble with their mother, because sometimes women will come visit the soldiers. So I walked all the way up to the third floor, and I'm pounding on that door. Boom, 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 boom. Like, hey, open the door. Boom, boom, boom. Then this other door opens right beside the door, and it's a guy. It's like, hey, man, what's going on? I said, well, I'm trying to talk to the guy from this room because those kids that he's got in there, they keep on knocking on my door over there. This has been messing with me for about like 3 different nights. It messed with me. He's like, there's nobody in that room. That room is vacant. Nobody's living there. So I walk all the way back, like, how is that possible? Whatever, right? So I want to go lay down. As I'm laying down in the bed, I'm thinking about it. It's like, okay, I did the sign of the cross. I want to sleep. As I'm going to sleep, I see it standing in front of my bed. Uh, he's standing at the edge of my bed, real tall. It looks like he's wearing like a cape, but the face I recognized. It was the same thing that I seen flying over me. What I thought was a fruit bat. This thing was huge. I would say it had to be like 7 to 8 foot tall, standing in front of my freaking room. So I prayed against it, and next thing you know, it disappeared. I believe what I ran into was either two things. Since it looked bad, like could have been an Nosferatu or a demon, but it was in front of my bed. After that, it's when I said, "Screw this! I'm moving out of the billets." So I got me an apartment and I moved off base. I didn't want to deal with the activity that was happening there. Yeah, when I thought it was like a jacket, it wasn't a jacket. It was its wings. Its wings. The face, kind of like a bat, but it wasn't a bat. It's kind of like a gargoyle. I would say like a gargoyle face. That's how it looked like a gargoyle face. I'll tell you. I'll give an example of how it looked like because I have a picture. I think I'll share with y'all. Let me do something real quick before I continue. What time we got? 1:40. Doing something real quick here. Any questions? You can ask whatever you want to ask me, brothers and sisters. Whatever you want to ask. Well, I'm going to tell you how it looked like because I have a picture I shared with you all the other day. You know, when we're talking about phase wise, I think I shared a picture of how the face looked of it. When I shared a picture, I think it was a picture of my son here with y'all. Let me see if I can find it, first of all. Let me try this again. Well, it looked like. Let me see if I can find the photo of it. I have a picture of how it looked like somewhere here of the face. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I think it was a picture I shared of my son, how he looked, how that thing looked like. Let me find. I think I got a short reel, which it could have followed me. I mean, it could have followed me to all the places that I've moved to. It found me there in the billets. Let me see if I can find it. The picture I'm talking about, the one that has my son in it when he was younger. I can get. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get to it. If I can take a screenshot of that photo, then we can see how the face will look like. But I have to find the photo first. I think this is it right here. Okay. Here we go. Let me share this short reel, and I'm going to pause it as I'm sharing it to be able to take a screenshot and make this picture bigger. Oh, okay. I'm going to pause it right there for right now. Let me work on this photo real quick, brothers and sisters. I'll push play. Let me work on this photo so I can show you how the face looked like. Try to get it closer here so I can share it with y'all. I'll try to get a close up of how the face will look without showing my son a face in it. Uh, Let me see if this will work here. Let me see if I can make it stand out here. All right, here we go. Let me see if this worked or not. All right. Let me share the photo. I try to my best to do a close up of it. Let me see if it captured it. All right, here we go. I might have captured it here. First of all, this is the one with my son in it. But what I want to show you is right by it. That's my son on top of my truck, and the thing that's right there is right beside it. That's the way the face look. So I'm gonna get a close look at the face right here. That's the face, how it would most likely look. As the original, this is with a little bit of color. Kind of, kind of like that, like a gargoyle of some sort, or bat like face. Yeah, there's all kinds of things on forehead. Just put it that way. You got to remember that a lot of those guys have been around the world, different locations. I mean, there could be gargoyles, vampires, werewolves. You don't know what they've seen or what they've been through. So yeah, there's a lot of activity in Fort Hood and on the land itself. It's to be native land, so of course a lot of activity at Shapeshifter Skinwalker and Wendigos. A lot of paranormal activity. I know of several locations, but I don't know if y'all want to go to them. I will guide you to where they're at, but you just got to be careful because things will manifest and show themselves to you. But I think y'all can see the face right there. And it's not white. It's not the white. It's the face that is right here. But anyways, yeah, blending in with the environment. That's what they do. He was targeting. He was still targeting my son, I believe. That's the one that targeted my son when he was young. These demons, man. They'll try to do anything to try to get your children and catch them by themselves. because when they're young, they really don't know about a lot of things. And he was trying. That's what he was doing. He's trying to influence them. That's why it was there. That gargoyle demon, whatever that was. So I had to protect. I had to fight spiritually against it. Trust me, there's even now that my son's older. One time I seen at the other house, I seen a dark entity standing right outside his house, right in front of his freaking door, standing there. And I looked at it, and it looked at me, and I said, "You're not welcome here. Leave my house." I take authority. I said, "I type on the Rick and Jesus Christ's name." It took off real fast. Dark entity inside my home where I used to live. This home is a blessing. You know, the Heavenly Father put me in a safe haven. I'm here in a safe haven. A lot of the activities that I was having has ceased. But yes, that's right, Sister Cynthia. There's unclean spirits. They can mimic our children. The voices of our children can mimic the voices of your loved ones, whether it be your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, grandmother, grandmother. They know your mind. They know your memory. They know that your memory knows how they used to sound, how they used to talk. So they mimic. They mimic the ones that you miss and that you love. Very sneaky bastards. They're very sneaky. That's why you have to be prayed up and be ready to tie, bind, and break in the name of Jesus Christ. Me, I don't worry about the manifestation that they take. I see through the manifestation. I put the spirit to the test. It doesn't matter the manifestation. If you're focused with the Heavenly Love Foundation, you pay attention. You pay attention to the spirit, what's within the vessel, or whatever the manifestation is. You'll be able to see what's there. Just want to know that if it's an unclean spirit, I go into prayer. It might have a smirk on his face. It might be having a smile on his face. But when I type on and rebuke it in Jesus Christ's name, it flees because I'm putting the spirit to the test. And it breaks their manifestation, or what people want to call their cloak. I've broken the cloak of forms that manifested to people. I've broken the manifestation of ones that seem to be a reptilian. I've broken the manifestation of a Bigfoot, or to take the form of what supposedly a Bigfoot looks like, right? And I've broken the manifestation of a dog man, shadow figure, deer woman, the shadow figures, a shapeshifter skinwalker, you name it. When I put it to the test, I tie, bind, and rebuke it in Jesus Christ's name, just like I did the DJINN when I was out there in combat. I go into prayer, the Our Father, to protect. Of course, the unseen enemy's got to reveal itself to you through spiritual law. So he's going to show you its true form. But no matter what form it's showing you, you still got to maintain your Heavenly Love Foundation, your faith in Jesus Christ. That's the way we overcome those unseen forces, right? Yeah, they can mimic anything. Mimic anything. Anything. The spirit knows the spirit. So those unclean spirits, they know what's in your heart. They know if you got anger. They know if you got unforgiveness. They know if you're missing somebody. So they're going to use anything that's power when they're coming up against you spiritually to try to deceive you and try to trick you. And it could be more than one. It could be a lot of them coming at you at once. It could feel like you're sinking in quicksand, or you're being suffocated. But you're going to maintain your Heavenly Love Foundation. It could be very confusing. It's kind of like you're going through things and nobody knows what you're going through, because You don't want to bring nobody in danger, so you keep it to yourself. But once you overcome those trials and tribulations, that's where you share your wisdom and knowledge because you went through it, you've been through it. That's what I'm trying to tell to a lot of people. The things that I talk about here in spiritual encrypted economy because I've been through it, I've overcome it. Doesn't matter how many times you fall. What matters is how many times you get up. And that's where I get all my stories, through my experiences of what I've been through, that I share to the members here on Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. That's why I said never give up. Whoever follows me on Facebook, you see what I put when every day I do the same workout, I do the same pose. I'll say something positive like never give up. Getting it done daily. And that's the mentality you have, or maintaining a heavenly love foundation. Doing the opposite of any wrongs, doing good. And I think that's why I get targeted by these people, like the guy from last night, targeted me. I was like, man, I mean, if you're going to say something, at least be a man about it. Show your face. Why do you have to hide like a pussycat? Am I right? If somebody would want to man up, well, man up. Why do you have to hide with a fake profile and say something that you think is going to bother me or come at me in a negative way? Because I don't hide nothing from anybody. I say everything that I've been through here on Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. I mean, if you're going to say something, want to be a comedian, or you think you're going to hurt me, well, say it, at least be a man about it. Why you have to hide like a pussycat? Or is it because that's what you are, a pussy cat? The force in that one was, it's like, come on, man. You're talking to somebody, something that happened a long time ago. That's weak, man. It's like ridiculous, right? Is it does people have nothing to offer? Or, they come and infiltrate with fake ass profiles, and it's like, oh yeah, we wouldn't mess with them. I did good. My mommy's gonna give me a box of Captain Crunch because I went against Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. You didn't accomplish nothing. You made a fool with your fake profile. I don't take those people serious. If you're gonna say something, just be straight up. Show me who you are. If you dislike me, show me who you are. Why you have to hide? Yeah, that's in Spanish we got a certain term for that. But I don't get out of character. But yeah, we just say a pussycat. I'm gonna call him a pussycat. He's a pussycat. He's like, mommy. I was messing with brother Abe CS. Can you buy me some adults? Can you buy me some pull-ups now? I'm grown now. I said something really, really mean to him. I'm grown now. Can I buy some pull-ups now? Can you scrub my back, mommy, in the tub? It's people, grow a freaking set of balls. Sarcias, grow the goat, grow a set of balls. Or I mean, you don't got a set of balls. Grab somebody's balls to say, hey, at least I got some balls, and be a man about it. Say something to me. Say it to me in my face. Show your face. Why you have to hide like a pussycat? There's people that are trolls. That's not how they work. They don't got a spine on their back. They're cowardly. Cobardes. That's what they are, cowards. When you have to come at somebody with a fake profile and troll somebody because you're a coward. I don't hide from nobody. Just like I didn't hide from the Medina Republican Guard in the battle on Medina Ridge. It was a tank to tank battle. But anyways, I think we hit the 2 hour marker here tonight. Just want to say thank you to everybody that tunes in, and to all the trolls that troll me, whoever you work for, whoever's sending you my way. The only thing I can say is I'm going to continue to maintain my love foundation, and whoever you're affiliated with, well, you can go where the sun don't shine. That's all I can say to you, because I'm going to continue to do the works that I do here, spiritual cryptid encounters, and tomorrow or later on tonight we'll have open mic night. But I'm gonna try to keep open mic night only for the members of Spiritual Cryptid Encounters. If I see somebody with a name I've never seen, I'm not going to add them on here. It's only going to be for members of Spiritual Cryptid Encounters, for the people that truly support Spiritual Cryptid Encounters. I appreciate y'all, brothers and sisters. Any more questions of what I've been speaking about? Open mic night later on tonight. Werewolf Wednesday might have a little delay because the Spurs play again, but tomorrow's open mic night, and it's only for the members of Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. Any jerkos, they try to jump on saying they're recording the show, they're going to get booted out. They don't need to be here. We're going to keep it legit. Oh, you going to try to hop on right now, Sister Cynthia, or tomorrow, or later on tonight? Let's try, see if you can hop on if this link is going to work. I mean, if you want to give it a shot right now, just to see if it works, see if I can add you. I just want to see if it works. But yeah, later on tonight it will be open mic night, and anybody that wants to share a story or something, you're more than welcome to jump on. Don't be shy, man. It's for the members of Spiritual Cryptid Encounters. If you have a picture you want to share that you might have, a video, a recording or something, you're more than welcome. Tomorrow, okay, tonight. In saying that, brothers and sisters, again, thank you for the support, for the love. Love, light, and blessings to you and your families. Always maintain a Heavenly Love Foundation and never give up, because the Heavenly Father wouldn't want us to give up. It's within us to survive. It's within us to overcome many obstacles. In saying that, this is Brother Apesius, Soren Sia, signing off from Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. Good night, everybody. Peace out.